The Phoenix Suns yesterday beat the Utah Jazz in a really close game. It went into overtime. And right now they are 36-14. They're the second seed in the Western Conference. They're only 1.5 game behind the Utah Jazz for first place. And do you think that they are a legitimate threat in the Western Conference? Can they make the NBA Finals? Can they beat these top teams? What do you think?
They're my 6th best team in the West.
6?
Yeah.
I want to hear the 6. I know 4 of them, but I want to know who the 5th team is. I think I can guess.
Go ahead.
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
Lakers, Clippers,
Jazz,
Nuggets, Trailblazers.
Yes. I will have the Trailblazers above them, and not because I think experience matters, and I think Phoenix depth isn't as deep as these other teams. I think they run in like a cool 7-8 come playoff time. I don't trust their young time, and it's like for me it's just with Phoenix it's just about who's gonna bank on the young guys performing and who's not, and I can't bank on the young guys performing because these other top teams have guys who have shown to get it done in the playoffs. But I think this is definitely a stepping stone for them, being a top 3 seed in the West. And shout out to Chris Paul because he's really the main catalyst of this, coming in and setting that foundation up for these guys and helping these young guys produce. I think Michael Bridges' development this year, Devin Booker's development, I think getting Drake Crowder was also good too. DeAndre Ayton's going to be big for them. I just think in terms of matchups, I don't think they run deep where they can go into playoffs and they can beat these other teams. But for the regular season, shout out to them. They performed admirably. Monty Williams is back on the map, and I think that's good. And I think this is definitely a sign that they're going to be around for a very long time.
Phoenix, they are legit contenders. And the fact that you put Portland over them is disrespectful. I have to say that's disrespectful. The fact that you put Utah over them, I think I can accept it, but I'm putting Phoenix over Utah. And the fact that you're putting the Clippers, known chokers, over Phoenix, I can't accept that.
Oh, boy.
I can't accept that at all. The only teams I will accept are the Lakers and Denver over the Suns. And even Denver, I'm hesitant on. They're 7th in points per game. They're 9th in three-point percentage. They're 3rd in assists and 6th in turnovers. So they protect the ball well, they shoot the three-point ball well, and they score a lot of points. And on defense, they're 5th in opponent points per game, they're 9th in opponent field goal per game, and 3rd in opponent three-point percentage per game. Oh. They held Utah to 25% from 3. They shot 11 for 44. This season, Utah is hitting the three-point shot at a historic rate, more than any other team in NBA history. And the Suns limited them to 25% from the 3. They have a top 10 offensive and defensive rating. And in Devin Booker's last 10 games, he's averaging 30 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. And it's not even like his efficiency has skyrocketed. He's shooting the same efficiency that he's been shooting the entire year. I think he's finally figuring out how to play with Chris Paul. And I think Devin Booker is a prime-time performer. When he gets into the playoffs, are you betting that Devin Booker is going to shrink and not live up to the moment and not live up to the hype? I think he's gonna show out.
Where are you like actually?
I want to ask you, do you think
you put me on the spotlight.
Do you think that Devin Booker is not a prime-time performer?
I don't know. He hasn't shown it. I
just have to see it.
Yeah, you can't say he is because he hasn't really been in a primetime moment.
Off my gut feeling, I think he's a primetime performer.
I'm not answering. I can't answer.
We know that Chris Paul in the playoffs takes.
Is also a choker too.
He's not a choker. That's just a false narrative. If you actually go deep and you look at stats, Chris Paul is actually very good in the playoffs.
He still choked when the Clippers choked.
He played great in the closeout game.
You said the Clippers are a choke. You're talking about Kawhi and them. Kawhi and Chris Paul have the same blown 3-1 leads.
Yes, but that's different.
That's different
because in the closeout game, Chris Paul played great. Kawhi played really bad. So did Paul George. In every single closeout game, if you look at all of Chris Paul's playoffs,
but you're just talking about a closeout game though. You have to win 3 straight.
If you look at all of his series, Chris Paul plays well in the playoffs. Okay, that's a false narrative.
But you said Kawhi played bad in one game. For the series though, he played incredible. He did everything he could in that series. The team just choked. The same with Chris Paul. You saying Chris Paul?
Okay, so hold on.
You saying Chris Paul
That's
played
different.
great?
Hold on.
The team choked.
Hold on. Did Kawhi choke in the playoffs last year, or did he just have one bad game?
He had one bad game.
Okay, so
I think he
we're
dominated
separating
Dallas.
the player from the team. The team choked.
The team
but
choked.
Kawhi didn't choke.
But you said the Clippers are choked, and you said as if Chris Paul hasn't choked before. He's been in a choking environment.
Because as a team they have choked.
But he knows what that feels like.
But Chris Paul plays well in the playoffs.
So does Kawhi.
It's not like he plays bad. Same thing with James Harden. James Harden plays well in the playoffs. They lose, but he plays well in the playoffs for the most part.
That's fair.
So that's a false narrative.
But you said
I'm gonna call you out on your false narrative right now.
But in Riv's defense, it is, I think, unfair to say the Clippers are a choke and Kawhi Leonard is a choke, but then shouldn't
I didn't say Kawhi Leonard was a choker.
You said the Clippers.
But
Doc Rivers is no longer there, so don't credit that with them
Paul
anymore.
George is.
But shouldn't Chris Paul have to take some of that responsibility from the Clippers as well then? Because if you look at it,
with the Clippers in their playoff series, they were always hurt. They never had a healthy team outside that year. Outside when they blew the 3-1 lead to Houston. But that year, I mean, Josh Smith went crazy.
They lost to Josh Smith.
Yeah, I know, but he went crazy in that game. But I remember Chris Paul has played phenomenal in multiple playoff series. What
was your question again?
I was going with my point, but you interrupted me because I had to tell you that Chris Paul is not bad in the playoffs because he's not.
I never said he was.
You said he's a choke. He's not a choker.
He did choke.
A choker means you're not good in the playoffs.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, you called Chris Paul a choke.
No, I said he choked. He's choked before. You said the Clippers are choked. I said he choked before.
Your first statement was not that he's choked before. You said he's a choke.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
You did say that.
I probably said he choked before. I said he choked.
Well, see, we could run back the tape. But Chris Paul, I know he's going to perform well in the playoffs. There's no doubt about that. Okay. He's one of the better fourth quarter players in the entire NBA. When you need him to get a bucket, he's going to get that bucket. He's going to put his team in the best position to succeed. Then DeAndre Ayton, he's giving you 15 and 11. And in the playoffs, I think his defense is still going to be there. It's not like in the playoffs his defense is going to drop off. DeAndre Ayton is an elite defender in the league right now. He's getting slept on.
He is, but so is Rudy Gobert, and I think he poses the same problem that Rudy Gobert does.
I think DeAndre Ayton is better than Rudy Gobert.
But he also poses the same disadvantages they both pose. When teams go small ball, can you have them out there?
But I think DeAndre Ayton can't stretch out the floor.
But do you keep him out there for defensive purposes?
I think Phoenix can go small, though. I think you could.
But that means you're taking out one of your best players.
But Jay Crowder, Cameron Johnson. The thing about the Suns is that they have great to elite defenders all over the team. I mean, you look at the great defenders: CP3, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, DeAndre Ayton, Dario Saric has been a really great defender this season. They have Cameron Johnson, Nader, Torrey Craig. I mean, they have the ability to go small. And they have 6 players shooting 40% from 3 this season, and Mikal, Galloway, Nader, Kaminsky, Cameron Payne, and Torrey Craig. And Dario Saric, he's been one of the more slept-on players on the Suns. He's averaging 10 points and 4 rebounds in 18 minutes. Per 36, that's 20 and 8. And he's giving you really great defense night in and night out. He's a stretch force, so he also stretches the floor. I think they can beat Dallas. They can beat Portland. They can beat the Memphis Grizzlies. They can beat Utah.
You said the Grizzlies.
No, because I'm saying in the first round with the second seed or possible first seed, they're going to face the Grizzlies or the Dallas Mavericks. I think the Suns can beat both of those teams. I think the Mavericks would be a closer series, but I think they'll beat them. So their floor is a team that can make it out the first round and be a second round team. If the Lakers are not full strength 100%, I think they can beat the Lakers as well, and I think they can beat the Jazz in the series. Right now, they're the second seed. The third seed is the Clippers. Do I think they can beat the Clippers in the series? I do. I do think so. I think.
Why you said it 3 times?
So basically, I think the Phoenix Suns can be a team that can fight for an opportunity to go to the Western Conference Finals. I think they can make it this year.
It's not. I didn't say you was wrong.
Yeah,
for
I
saying
agree
that.
with you. I agree. With you.
I didn't say you was bugging for saying that.
The only thing I disagree with you on is I would also have the Clippers above them, regardless of what happened last year. I think they're I don't know if they're a much more talented team. I think they're a more talented team, and I think they have better personnel for playoff series. I have all healthy. The Lakers and the Clippers are my 2 best teams in the West, and then from there, I would probably say it's a toss-up between like the Suns, the Jazz, the Nuggets. I would give a slight advantage to the Nuggets just because I like the matchup issues that Jokic poses and what they did last year. Murray always lights it up in the playoffs. And like I think that category of teams is in a great spot this year because of the injury concerns with the Lakers and the Clippers. You know, you mentioned it; they still have to prove themselves this year. So I think the Suns can be a Western Conference Finals team, and if all the stars align, I think they could be a team to make it out of the West. But
I think
they
the
need
West
a lot
is-
to go in their favor in order to have that happen.
I think the West is wide open this year. It's wide. If the Lakers are not fully healthy,
I would agree.
The West is wide open this year.
I think that Dallas series would be like I would take Phoenix, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas sneaks out of it. Honestly,
The reason why I don't think Dallas can beat them is because Mikal plays great defense on Luka. He has played great defense on Luka.
but you just said, and I'm just going off what you said. You brought up when you talked about the Clippers. You brought up last year in the bubble, right? Based off what we've seen from Luka in the playoffs so far, he's pretty amazing so far. From what we've seen so far. So it's like with Phoenix, I feel like with Phoenix, it's like a wait and see. Like you're banking on Devin Booker to pull out prime time. We know what Chris Paul is gonna do, but I feel like just with Portland, like Damian Lillard, he's a first round master. Like he always comes in, he dominates first round. The Portland Trailblazers hasn't been healthy all year. They're still starting to get healthy, starting to get their guys, and they just got in Norman Powell. He's still trying to figure it out. With the Clippers, they've been great all year. They've been different. They also haven't been healthy all year. Like the Lakers, Portland haven't been healthy all year. Denver, we know what Denver, Jokic and Murray, we know what that 2-man is gonna possess. Utah, it's like Utah, like they're healthy this year, but I think like that, like what Jack said, that Rudy Gobert is going to be it's going to be a problem for DeAndre. I think DeAndre is better if you're talking about offense and defense, but I think defensively, I think Rudy Gobert can really cause DeAndre Ayton some serious problems, and then that's going to put a foot in that because this is going to be like one of your best players is being neutralized in a sense. And then when you play teams like the Clippers and the Lakers where you can go small ball, yeah, Phoenix can go small ball, but how many guys can you incorporate in that small ball? How deep can you go in your bench to go small ball? The Clippers and the Lakers could run. I wouldn't say the Lakers, but the Clippers could run 6-7 guys deep in small ball. Even Serge Ibaka can play small ball. So it's like, how is that going to fit in? Same with Portland.
The point that you made about the Jazz and the Suns, the reason why I'm not worried about that is because the Suns don't run their offense through Ayton. So Ayton is not going to get, one-on-one matches with
he won't.
So because of that, I'm not worried about him neutralizing Ayton. Then about the Mavericks, I think even if Luka does perform amazing, one, I think Mikal will hold them in check a little bit because Luka is special. But I also think that the Suns are just a much better team than the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, no doubt about it. And then you mentioned the Clippers. I think that the Suns can play small. I think Cameron Johnson can play that small ball 4 spot. I think he maybe even 5. He's really skinny, which is it's going to be hard. Cameron Johnson.
Oh.
I think Jay Crowder though can play small ball 5
But
spot.
I think you're playing to the Clippers' strength, and that is their strength of their team, the small ball game. Like throwing out the Kawhi, Marcus Morris, because you mentioned how Phoenix was top 10 in offensive defense. So is the Clippers. The Clippers are at a historical rate on offense this year alone and 3-point% shooting. So it's like
you said historical rate.
Yeah, you can look
over
it up.
The Nets.
Oh my gosh, I'm talking about for them, bro. Just for them. Historical for the Clippers, bro.
That's not historical then.
I mean, it is for the franchise. For the franchise, it's historical.
You made it sound like it was for the league.
Pardon me. I'm sorry. Anyways, like I was saying, so you're taking a team and you're playing at their strength, and they could throw out a Marcus Morris, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, Batum lineup. They can even throw in Pat Bev, one of them. Like Rondo's there now. Ibaka could go small. Like I said, you're playing to their strength, and they're playing to one of their strengths. I don't know if Phoenix is able to do that.
No, this is what I'm saying. That's a great series. I'm not saying the Suns are the clear-cut favorite to win that, but do I think they can beat the Clippers? I do. I know that the Clippers have the talent. But the thing about it is that I just don't trust the Clippers. I don't trust them.
I don't think Phoenix could beat the Clippers.
If Paul
honestly.
George does not show up, they cannot beat the Suns.
The Suns would definitely be underdogs, but
100%.
They could beat the Clippers, I would say.
And the Clippers are favorites if the Lakers are not healthy to make it out the West.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah, 100%.
So if they don't make it out the West, which is a possibility because last year they were supposed to go farther, we'll see what happens. But I think the Suns are going to give them a run for the money no matter what.
I would have the Suns again in that category with the Jazz and the Nuggets, where the best case scenario for them would be, as much as you never want to root for it, the best case scenario for them would be the Lakers injuries keep nagging, and then it's the Clippers conference to lose. And I think you still have that stigma of Paul George's performance last year in the playoffs, and he's got to show up if they want to win. And that's something that I think there's a better chance of him doing than not doing, but it's still something that's got to be in the back of your mind.
I mean,
overall,
that same stigma of him performing, though, has to be a stigma for Phoenix of if whether or not the young guys are going to show up.
100%.
Like it has to be the same stigma. It has to go both ways.
Yeah.
Because that is the team walking in out of the top 6 we're talking about. Portland, them, Utah, Clippers, Lakers, Nuggets.
And that's one of the big reasons.
That's the least experienced team walking in out of those top 6 dogs.
That's one of the big reasons why.
Aside from, I know Chris Paul comes in and all that.
The same could have been said for OKC last year.
They lost
starting
in the first
Shea
round.
And Lou Dort went to 7 games.
That is fair.
Went to 7 games. So I'm just saying, the same thing was said last year, and I think this Suns team is better than that OKC team.
Yeah.
I think when you have Chris Paul, who's an on-court coach, it mitigates a lot of that experience talk because Chris Paul just knows how to get players ready and in position to succeed.
That's true to an extent. I mean, they did play a team that had a Westbrook who's still injured. We know that for a fact.
And an MVP in Harden.
But this is a championship pedigree Kawhi Leonard and Tyronn Lue. So they have a championship pedigree coach and a championship pedigree superstar. No offense to Harden. I know he hasn't won that, but it matters. Serge Ibaka is coming off a championship 2 years ago. So that's another. And Rondo, who's coming off a championship last year. These are guys who have championship pedigree. That experience does play a part in your playoff run. So it definitely
does.
It's gonna be tough. I would say, like, if I had to choose, I would say Clippers in like 6. Honestly, I would give it a 6-game series.